Hey Vikings Nation, what's going on? Are you ready for some breaking buzz that could shake up the wide receiver room in Minnesota? Because today's Minnesota Vikings news might just bring back a familiar face. And trust me, this one hits different. As fire. Imagine this. A former fan favorite, a clutch performer, a guy who delivered in big moments, now possibly eyeing a return to the Minnesota Vikings. But is this a smart move? Or just nostalgia talking? Stick with me because this story gets really interesting. And here's the hook. With a major vacancy at WR3, the Vikings might not need to look far. What if the answer has been there all along? KJ Osborn. Yeah, that name should ring bells for every true Vikings fan. KJ Osborn was once a reliable WR3 for this team, holding it down between 2021 and 2023. He played under both Mike Zimmer and Kevin O'Connell, adapting through a coaching transition and still producing. But after leaving Minnesota, things didn't exactly go as planned. Osborn bounced between teams like the Patriots, Commanders, and Falcons, and let's be real, he never found that same rhythm again. Now here's where it gets spicy. He's a free agent again. And guess what? He's openly talking about Minnesota. On a recent podcast, Osborn didn't hide his feelings. He literally said, "You can't help but look at Minnesota. That's not just talk. That's a player thinking about unfinished business." He even mentioned how the WR3 spot is now open again. And he's absolutely right. With Jalen Nailor moving on after landing a solid deal with the Raiders, the Vikings suddenly have a gap behind their top receivers. And that changes everything. Let's talk about that depth chart for a second. Right now, it's led by superstar Justin Jefferson and rising talent Jordan Addison. But after that, things get shaky. There's potential, sure, but proven production. That's where the concern kicks in. And that's exactly why Osborn's name suddenly makes sense again. Think back to 2021. Osborn broke out with 50 receptions, 655 yards, and 7 touchdowns. That wasn't luck. That was opportunity meeting preparation. Then in 2022, he stepped it up again. More snaps, more responsibility, and another solid stat line. 60 catches, 650 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Consistency, reliability, that's what he brought to the Vikings offense. And even in 2023, he stayed productive with over 500 yards receiving. 3 straight seasons of solid contribution, that matters. But stats only tell part of the story. Because if you're a real fan, you remember the moments. That walk-off touchdown against the Panthers in 2021? Ice in his veins. That game winner against Detroit in 2022? Clutch doesn't even begin to describe it. And let's not forget his performance in the historic comeback against the Colts. Over 150 yards in one of the greatest games in NFL history. That's the kind of player he was in Minnesota. But then came the departure, and things changed. He signed with the Patriots on a 1-year deal, hoping to expand his role. Instead, he barely saw the field. 7 games. Just 7 catches. That's not the Osborn Vikings fans remember. From there, it became a struggle. A short stint in Washington, then bouncing again, eventually landing on the Falcons practice squad. And now here we are. A player who once thrived in Minnesota, looking for another shot. So let me ask you something, Vikings fans, do you bring him back? On one hand, he knows the system. He knows O'Connell's offense. He knows the locker room culture. On the other hand, why didn't it work anywhere else? That's the big question. But let's be honest, sometimes fit is everything in the NFL. And maybe, just maybe, Minnesota is the place where Osborn fits best. Financially, this would likely be a low-risk move. A veteran minimum deal, nothing crazy. But the upside? A proven WR3 who can step in immediately. Of course, it won't be handed to him. He'd have to compete with younger players like Ty Felton and possibly a rookie coming in from the draft. And competition? That's exactly what this team needs right now. Because if the Vikings want to make a serious run, they need depth. They need reliability beyond Jefferson and Addison. So bringing back a familiar face might not just be sentimental. It might be strategic. Now I want to hear from you, Vikings Nation. Would you bring KJ Osborn back? Or do you think the team should look for a fresh new option at WR3? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's get this debate going. And if you love staying updated with the latest Minnesota Vikings news, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with every Vikings fan you know. Because here, we don't just follow the Vikings, we live the Vikings. Purple Heart Fire.